My husband couldn't take his eyes off my sister at her wedding. Betrayal or an unforgivable mistake? Ray and I had been married for 15 years and lived a modest suburban life with our daughter Maria. However, a sense of uncertainty began to creep in as Ray's behavior changed. His lingering gazes and excessive compliments, especially towards my sister Olivia, created an unsettling atmosphere. Olivia and I were close, but our relationship had a silent rivalry. Where Olivia was the outgoing, charismatic one, I was more into stability and routine. It seemed almost like a fairy tale when she met Jack, who was good-looking and successful. Indeed, their whirlwind romance made me happy. At the same time, however, it churned an envy inside my tummy. It was then that my marriage to Raymond started to feel stale. I loved him, but we'd somehow fallen into a predictable routine. We were managing dinner together, bedtime stories, and our daughter's laughter, but something was missing, which eluded me for the time being. Then came the metamorphosis of Olivia, and the years of fighting with her weight fell off her, and she finally started to look every inch the confident and radiant woman. This was wonderful, but inside of me, it just fanned my envy even more because partly I observed that Raymond started to take a keener interest in her. At a family barbecue several months before the wedding, I noticed Raymond stealing glances at Olivia while she was talking with Jack. He laughed too freely, a sound that filled me with much unease. "Raymond, you seemed really into Olivia today," I said later, testing his emotions. "What do you mean?" He shrugged it off. "You kept looking at her," I pressed. He flapped his hand dismissively. "She's your sister. She looks great. It's nothing." But it didn't alleviate my anxiety. This felt like more than admiration. There was something in his eyes, a spark that hadn't been there for years. The bachelorette party. Olivia's bachelorette party was an intimate affair that I put together to celebrate her forthcoming wedding. Raymond was supposed to keep off, but he seemed to pop up claiming he'd forgotten his wallet. He leaned toward Olivia all evening. They laughed too freely. Inside jokes floated between them, each turning a knot in my stomach. Then he leaned in closer to whisper in her ear, and suddenly I was filled with jealous anger. "Are you here?" I asked later, unable to hide my irritation. "I just wanted to support your sister," he said casually. "Can't I be friendly?" "Friendly?" I returned, my voice rising. "You're crossing a line." As I lay in bed that night, their laughter echoed in my mind. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, but a sense of dread slowly settled in my stomach, foretelling the storm was about to hit our lives. Finally, Olivia's big day had arrived, and it was nothing but perfect. She looked even more beautiful. Her looks were those Jack could hardly bear to drag his eyes from. I tried looking at Raymond. My heart dropped. He was tense, staring intensely at Olivia with a look of longing that made me ill at ease. During the ceremony, I could feel him stealing glances at her. Later, when the reception came, my stomach churned as he hung around Olivia, laughing and talking about private matters. I watched Raymond's expression closely as Olivia and Jack shared their first dance. His eyes had a painful look while watching her dance around in that dress, look that ran chills down my spine. That night, I couldn't hold it in any longer. The ride home was dead silent. As soon as we entered the door, I turned to Raymond, anger boiling inside me. "What's going on between you and Olivia?" I asked, demanding an answer. "Nothing," he said. Confusion etched across his face. "Don't lie to me. I saw the way you looked at her today," I said, returning fire. "Are you in love with my sister?" He froze. His eyes were wide with shock. "I don't know if it's love," he confessed, "but I have feelings for her. I didn't want it to happen, but it did." My heart shattered. "How long?" I whispered, dread pooling in my stomach. "A few months," he confessed in a shaking voice. "But I love you, Maria. You're my wife. You're the mother of my child. I never wanted this to happen." Anger started to rise in me, a storm of betrayal and hurt. "You need to leave," I told him, my voice firm despite my chest aching. "I don't want to be near you." He faltered for a while, looking for something to say, but I wasn't going to let him get any words out. I watched him pack some things, feeling the weight of my heart as he gave Maria a goodnight kiss and walked out the door into an unmanageable abyss. The days that followed felt unreal. I couldn't sleep or eat. Maria seemed to know something bothered me. Her simple questions hurt me much more than any knife would. "Mommy, when is Daddy coming back?" she would ask, her wide eyes still full of hope. It's just busy for a while," I said, forcing a smile on my face, but inside I felt hollow. A week later, Raymond texted me. "I miss you. I'm so sorry. Can we talk?" My heart was racing. I felt angry and longing. Did I want to see him again? Eventually, I responded, "Okay, where?" We agreed on the park. As I was walking over, anticipation and dread washed over me. What could he possibly say that would change anything? He sat down on the bench. His eyes were antsy and nervous. "Thanks for coming," he said in a shaking tone. "I almost didn't," I said honestly, joining him on the bench. "I don't know what you want to say, but I need you to be honest." "I will," he said, his eyes locking mine. "I've done a lot of thinking. I want to become clear about Olivia, my feelings, and how I've handled it." I listened closely. "Go on," I urged. I was blinded by my feelings for Olivia. It was wrong of me to let it get this far without talking to you first. I was confused, and instead of being honest with you, I let it fester. "That doesn't excuse your behavior," I said, frustration boiling over. "You placed your feelings before our family. You hurt me, and you hurt Olivia." "I know," he said regretfully. "I started seeing a therapist to figure this out. I need to understand why I felt that way, and what I can do to ensure that will never happen again." I felt a ray of hope, yet I couldn't let go of the wound he had given me. "You think it will really help with therapy?" I asked, taking full caution. "It is a start," he said, still nodding. "I want to work on myself. For you, for Maria. I don't want to lose you." We sat there, and for a moment, I experienced a spark of what we had. I felt the weight of this betrayal, though, heavy on my chest. "I don't know if I will ever be able to believe you again," I said, shaking. "I understand that," he whispered, "but I am ready to fight for you. I will do anything it takes." One day, I called my sister Olivia, and as soon as she picked up, I said, "Olivia, I've been struggling with Raymond for a while now, and it's because he told me he had feelings for you that weren't exactly brother-in-law feelings. I know you're married now, and I know how much you love Jack, but just tell me, why were you so close with him that Raymond felt he could develop feelings for you?" Olivia sounded shocked on the phone and kept saying, "Maria, I really don't understand what you're talking about. I did talk to Raymond for a while and confided in him, telling him about my love for Jack. He always said he cared for me like a sister, and sometimes he would send me small gifts and sweet messages. I swear, I didn't do anything wrong, and you know how much I care about you, Raymond, and your relationship." While Olivia was saying this, Jack had secretly been listening, and after my call with her ended, he had a huge argument with her, calling her a whore and saying, "Why were you flirting with your sister's husband?" Olivia cried a lot, insisting he was falsely accusing her and that she was innocent. She even showed him the texts and messages they'd exchanged, but Jack packed his things and left the house. Weeks felt like months, and I could be seen treading in the stormy waters of my relationship with Raymond while supporting Olivia through her troubles. Jack had moved out, and Olivia tried to reach out to him, but the distance seemed insurmountable. Every time I was around her, guilt washed over me. I wanted so badly to help her rebuild her life, but at the same time, I knew that I'd played a part in the unraveling of her marriage. This was a burden I carried heavily, often lost in thought while trying to find a balance for my feelings for Olivia and Raymond alike. One afternoon we sat on the porch sipping iced tea, while Olivia, turning quite solemn, addressed me. "Maria, can I ask you something?" she said with a level voice. "Yes, of course," I replied. "If Jack doesn't want to try and fix things, should I let him go?" she asked, eyes searching mine. "I love him, but don't want to keep fighting for something he isn't willing to fight for." I took a deep breath, knowing how profound this moment was. You need to follow your heart, Olivia, but think of what's best for you. If he's unwilling to communicate or trust you, maybe it's time to reevaluate. She nodded, her eyes welling up in tears. "I just don't want to lose him. I thought we had something special." "You do," I reassured her. "But sometimes love isn't enough when there's no trust." Days turned into weeks, and I watched Olivia struggle with her decision. Meanwhile, Raymond worked hard to prove himself, going regularly to therapy and trying to reach out to Maria. However, the future was still undetermined in my mind. One evening, Olivia called me frantic. "Maria, you have to come over. It's Jack. He's here and he wants to talk." My heart was going as I drove over. When I arrived, Jack was pacing around the living room, his face tense. Olivia sat on the couch, looking anxious. "Maria, I need you here," Jack said. Turning to me, "I don't want the truth. I want to know everything about what's been happening with you and Raymond." My heart sank. "Jack, I don't know if that is such a good idea," I said with apprehension. "I deserve to know," he insisted. "If there's anything else going on, I need to hear it now." "Okay," I said slowly, the weight of the moment welling up inside me. "But you must promise to listen and not jump to conclusions." As I started explaining Raymond's feelings, my inability to cope with them, and how that state had affected Olivia, I could see anger and hurt in Jack's eyes. "I just can't believe this," he said, shaking his head. "You both were supposed to be loyal to each other, and instead this is what I get?" It was never meant to happen," I said, my voice rising. "Raymond never acted on his feelings. He made a mistake, and he's trying to make things right." "But the damage is done," Jack yelled, red-faced with anger. "How am I ever supposed to trust either of you again?" "I'm trying to fix things with Olivia," I said in a last-ditch attempt. "You need to talk to her about how you feel instead of shutting her out." But Jack wasn't in the mood to listen anymore. He turned to Olivia, his frustration shone on his face. "You should have told me that from the beginning. You have been hiding things from me." "I didn't want to hurt you," Olivia cried, her face streaming with tears. "I thought I was protecting you." By this time, Jack was really angry. "If this is the way you want to live your life, then maybe I don't want to be a part of it." With that, he was out, leaving Olivia to shudder in despair. "What am I going to do?" she whispered, trying to call out as her voice caught. "I cannot lose him." As I sat with Olivia, Watching her heart break into pieces, I felt this wave of guilt just come over me. "Oh, I should have told you everything from the beginning," I said, wrapping my arms around her. "I never wanted this to happen." "I can't believe that I have let it come this far," she sobbed. "I felt that I was marrying the love of my life, and now everything seems to fall apart." In a split second, I knew our lives had become so fragile. Relationships that once were considered concrete stood on a thin thread, and I was holding the scissors. I wanted to stand by Olivia, yet deep inside I knew I needed to face Raymond. That circle of necessary pain to disappear once and for all. The following weeks were questionable as Olivia tried to mend things with Jack and Raymond tried hard to prove himself. One evening I decided to see Raymond once more. I needed to see where we stood. I sat in the coffee shop, watching as he sat down, hopeful yet anxious. "Maria," he began, "I need to show you that I can be the husband you deserve." "What do you mean?" I asked cautiously. "I've been working on myself," he replied thoughtfully. "I have even started going to couples therapy, though there is just me for now. I want to learn how to rebuild what I've broken." My heart fluttered with hope, but I could not entirely trust him. "You must understand, it will take time for me to trust you again. I am still hurt about what happened." "I know," he whispered, "but I am prepared to wait. I want to prove that I can change." As I left the meeting, my heart was at division. I'd loved Raymond all along, but would I ever be able to trust him again? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, I continued to support Olivia through her roller coaster with Jack. She gave it her all. She struggled to regain him, but it would be an upward task. Olivia would call me anytime, sometimes just for the sound of a reassuring voice. "I'm going to show him I'm worth it," she said one evening, the resolution breaking through the fissures in her heart. "At what cost?" I asked softly. "You can't force him to feel something he doesn't. You deserve someone who sees your worth." "I know," she returned steadily, "but I love him, and I want him to see that." One afternoon, sitting together, she finally opened up about her fears of losing Jack forever. "What if he moves on?" she asked, her eyes welling up with tears. What if I never get him back?" "Then you need to focus on healing yourself first," I urged. "You can't build a future on what-ifs. Take time to figure out what you want." Days later, Olivia texted me excitedly, "Jack wants to meet. He says he's willing to talk." My heart quickened as I motivated her. "That's great news. Just be honest with him. You do deserve a chance to express your feelings." When that day finally came, Olivia was a nervous wreck. I helped her choose an outfit to make her feel confident and beautiful. "You got this, Olivia. Just speak from the heart," I reassured her. She got ready to leave and I took both hands in mine. "No matter what happens, I'm here for you," I said. Hours later, Olivia came back home. Her face had turned pale. "It didn't go as planned," she said, throwing herself on the couch. "What happened?" I asked, panic rising. "A man wants to work things out, but he's still hurt," she admitted. "He said he needs space to figure things out." My heart went down. "Olivia, it's a step. At least he is open to talking." "But what if he never comes back?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "What if I've lost him for good?" I wrapped my arms around her, trying to comfort her. "You haven't lost him yet. Just give him the space he needs. Focus on yourself for now." Over the coming weeks, I have watched her turn her heartache into resolve. She initiated a new exercise routine, started writing down everything that was going through her mind, and even began to paint, something she had enjoyed as a child. When Olivia started to get stronger, I also began my own process of healing. I reassessed my relationship with Raymond and understood that trust takes time to rebuild and will not happen overnight. We started couples therapy together, hashing out issues with a therapist. "Maria, I know I hurt you," Raymond said during one session, "but I want to understand why I let my feelings for Olivia get so out of control." I watched him fumble over his feelings, the spark of hope firing in my chest. "It is about honesty and communication," I said. "We have to build a space to be vulnerable without fear." As the weeks settled into months, Olivia and I started to find our feet again. Our paths had been divergent, yet our resolve to recover kept us linked. We would meet over coffee frequently, sharing updates and getting in each other's corner. "Jack texted me today," Olivia said one afternoon, her face brightening for the first time in weeks. "He wants to meet again." "Really?" I asked, excitement bubbling up. "Ah, that's amazing. Just remember to be honest about how you feel." "I will," she promised, her eyes shining with hope. The meeting day finally came, and I was a bundle of nerves on her behalf. "You're going to do great," I said, hugging her tightly before she left. She came back hours later, her face a mix of relief and uncertainty. We talked," she said, taking a deep breath. "He's willing to try again, but he's still scared." I hugged her tightly, overflowing with joy for her. "That's a huge step, Olivia. You're both trying to rebuild, and that's what matters." As we went our separate ways, I also realized that healing takes time, patience, and an open heart. In our case, it was about facing fears together, Raymond's and mine. For Olivia, it was about learning how to love herself while working out her relationship with Jack. It would not be easy, but only seeing my sister dance her way and Raymond trying to reconstruct our marriage brought hope. Together, whatever lay ahead, we could face, and we were more vital than ever.